Hey everybody, let's get right into part two again of my Beatles scrapbook from 1976, 77, 78 time period. This one I wrote 77 in the corner. There's one page that came off the back here. Book two, full. Like I had to tell myself it was full. The Ghost of the Beatles. What's the Ghost of the Beatles? Come on, focus. I rather hoped I'd heard the last of them. What? What are you talking about? Wait a minute. Huh. There you go. Can you read some of that? See? Not sure what that whole thing's about. I'm not going to have time to read the whole thing with you. Oh, hang on. Oh, I Want to Hold Your Hand. It looks like it's about produced by Steven Spielberg, director of Jaws, Close Encounters. Contains 17 Beatles songs. I Want to Hold Your Hand is not a musical at all. It's more of a stepchild American graffiti tradition. Okay, so it's his review of this movie. What's he say at the end about it? Let's see here. Well, we could do a lot worse than I Want to Hold Your Hand. Looking back and considering the noisy drug freak zombies we've had since they came and went, the Beatles seem as tame and hygienic as saddle Oxfords. What an idiot, huh? It seems like he liked it, though. He never thought he'd find it as appealing or even as tolerable experience. I still can't stand the Beatles. What? Appreciate their songs. You have to hear them performed by real musicians. This guy's a jerk. I wish I had his name here so I could put it out there in public, but I don't. All right, so he liked the movie, but he doesn't like the Beatles. Okay, he's a jerk. Goodbye. Yeah, it's The Tax Man, April 77, Alan Klein. I'll let you guys read that if you want to pause it. Something about Alan Klein. Is the new Beatles album simply another rehash? Oh man, already and then March of 77, they're already complaining about rehashes. Some choice Beatle cuts have been in the deep freeze for more than a decade. King Size Taylor taped the Star Club now, blah, blah, blah. He gave up releasing the album because of legal hassles. All right, so it's talking about Live at the Star Club's coming out. 76, Paul. Advance copy of Paul's new album was sneaked to an LA radio station. Another station decided not to play his LPs. They were mad. Oh, 76. That book is worth a lot now, Paul. You could sell it at a Beatles convention like they had in Seattle. Two more from 76. Bring back the Beatles. I'm a big Beatle fan. I need articles about John, Paul, George, Ringo. I will trade pictures. Please, trade with me. Send me stuff. Louise James, Mass. Hey, Louise, if you're out there, I hope you're checking out my video. Paul and Linda. Speaking of Wings, I hope you had the chance to catch them during their recent American tour. LA Forum. So I'm talking about seats sold. All right. McCartney, my Wings. Oh, he's lost two members of the band, yeah, but the new album, London Town, is due. May of 78. Private showing. Oh, they saw the Beatles. Two of the Beatles, Paul and Ringo, actually did see I Want to Hold Your Hand when it came out. You know, that is a cute movie, folks. I know it's not the best made movie in the world. Kind of silly. I think I have a little, maybe coming up here, a little newspaper advertisement for it in this book, which will come up, I'll talk about a little more, okay? This is McCartney's Domestic Woes. She's learning the hard way. You can't please everybody all the time. She joined Paul's group Wings. No talent. Favoritism. Wings have gathered a large following, and that hollering seems to way in the past. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Linda, I really like, I know I don't know her personally or anything, but I really liked Linda. I thought she was a nice addition to have in the band. I'm not saying she was the most talented singer or player, but just her presence, her demeanor, her positiveness. I like Linda. I just always will. March 78, quote of the week, ex-Beatle, Paul McCartney says he likes to present, he's like his settled way of life better than the frenzied old days. I used to wake up to chicks and old drinks. Now, happily, that horror has been removed from my life. I wake up to my own children. I don't want to end up like Howard Hughes or something. It gives me pleasure just to read to the kids and teach them stuff. And a good dad, huh? That Paul. Ex-Beatle Ringo. We were never cheap. Oh, this is that article I've mentioned it in my rock and roll video, my rock and roll music, the album videos. I think Joe has, other people have. But Ringo had rotogravure out, but he's talking here about, and I don't know if you can really see it with the glare of that. I'll do as best I can. But this is the famous article where they quote Ringo saying, they have Coca-Cola and Marilyn Monroe and all that other junk on the rock and roll music album. And we weren't about the 50s, we were the 60s. It makes us look cheap. John would have done a better one for them. And so that's what that article is. Ringo's back, March of 78. Nice picture of Ringo there. And it's all about his Ringo TV special based on Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper. It will feature George. Paul and Linda, Beatle Magic. He brought them to the U.S. Crowds rioted. 76. Here's another 76. Beatles car contest. See, you can see my books aren't that organized, folks. I'm jumping from different years and different time periods. A beautiful classic car can be yours. You could win that classic 57 Chevy or whatever it was. This is kind of neat. I'll show these two real quick. May 14th, local top LPs around here in the Boston, Providence area. As you can see, Beatles Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl, May of 77, was in its first week number 3 around here. You can see all the other stuff. There's Wings in there, number 9. And it looks like a week or so later it stayed at number 3. Trying to focus, folks. There we go. Okay, and now Ruddlemania. You can see I cut up the article a little bit, but there's the Ruddles, March of 78. Just all about the Ruddles and that special coming out, and which I think was fabulous. I have it on DVD and video somewhere, and what a great film. Nice article, Paul Linda here. May seem funny to include a woman, Linda, in a rock guy gallery, but rock guy gallery, this was called. Talk about their family. What he looks for in a girl. He looks for a warm, loving, down-to-earth person, just like Linda. What does she look for in a guy? A sensitive, good-natured, warm-hearted fella, just like Paul. There you go, some stats. Nice little article from summer of 76. All right, here's my stub. I saved my ticket stub to I Want to Hold Your Hand. $3. And starting tomorrow, can 22 hotel floors, 42 guards, 157 cops, 390 barricades, and 3,000 hysterical fans keep these kids from getting to the Beatles? No way. Steven Spielberg presents I Want to Hold Your Hand. What a great movie, Have you all seen it? Maybe somebody say, it stinks, it's not accurate. If you just want a fun romp with a great Beatles background and a lot of cool Beatle references and funny stuff, check out I Want to Hold Your Hand from 78, folks. It's just I have it on DVD and I love it. I think it's a fabulous movie. Should we give the Beatles a break? It's like I butchered this article and cut out all their faces and stuff too. I guess this is a pro and con. Get the Beatles back together. This person wants the Beatles to get back together. And this person is saying, no, let the Beatles go their own ways now. We shouldn't forget about them, but it's time to move on. Well, despite the fact they never got back together, folks, we've never really moved on because they're the greatest act in the history of the world. So we're not going to move on. Another Ruddles article from March of '78. And then here's the actual. I hear a lot about the Ruddles. Who are they? What are they? How can you remember? Dirk McQuickley, Ron Nasty. Just talks about someone asked a question and who they are. One of them all, new Paul and Wings album be out. According to spokesman, new album should be out around the end of the month. All right, so we knew that was London Town. Another article about the I Want to Hold Your Hand coming out starting Friday. Great movie. Again, I keep mentioning it, but I really love that movie. There's a newspaper ad for Hollywood Bowl in my local paper when it came out. Top hits. Hollywood Bowl drops to 4 here. Still at number 4 here. 5 here. And it drops to 9 here, and then it must have dropped out of the chart after that because I don't have any more. My June 1977 ticket stub for the Beatle movie A History of the Beatles. Again, this was one of those, in the theater type things where you can see a bunch of rare footage and stuff. I went to many of those, so I saved ticket stubs and whatnot. And here's a nice article about Susan Newman, who played one of the characters in I Want to Hold Your Hand, one of the teenagers. She was kind of the long-haired Joan Baez and Dylan freak in the movie. February of '78. Susan Newman, then 24. Wow, she's in her 60s now, imagine. John Lennon, imagine working. October '77, wanted Beatles look-alike singer musicians for Beatlemania. Oh, okay, it's been solved. Mystery solved, folks. The Great Cletu mystery has been solved at last. Well, you know what? They're still a great band. I have everything by Cletu. I recommend you check out Cletu. They are a great band in their own right. They did not perpetrate that myth or that rumor. They had nothing to do with it. And they are worthy of your time, folks. They are a great band. I recommend anything by Cletu. Okay. John getting his ticket to ride. John gets his green card. July of '76 with his article. Granny Glasses gave it away, but there was John with the short haircut and the banker's suit. Looked like a bank teller, bank president. October '77. Beatles scorned in their hometown. Yeah, there was a thing in the '70s, folks, about how the Beatles, they wanted to put up monuments and things for the Beatles, and as it is now, and as it should be, statues, monuments. Make it a tourist destination. The Beatles are the biggest thing on the planet, for goodness sake. And yet back in the '70s, they had really stodgy town council people, whatever they were called, government people, who, whenever anyone tried to do something positive to remember the Beatles or honor them in their hometown, it was scorned. It was looked down upon. And as we know, history has shown that's been changed completely. And now they quote Alan Williams in here. The councilors don't seem to realize just what a world phenomenon the Beatles are. You know what? And he was right. Now you go to Liverpool, it's a great, great place to be and to go experience. October '74. Well, this is a real old one. I must have dug out of an old magazine. Beatles with Ed Sullivan. Oh, Ed died. So I must have taken his obituary or his little news clip out of the old time magazine or something. Geez, a little over 10 years after they appeared with him, he passed, huh? All right, here's that history of the Beatles, best of the Beatles from Liverpool to Bangladesh. Midnight showing. See, they had some matinees and some midnight showings at local theaters for $2.50, and you could see all these cool Beatles films and whatnot. And a page here about here's the real Beatles, and Ed Sullivan, and they're making an article about Beatlemania. Here's Beatlemania. All right. And the last one in book 2, which ripped off here a little bit, is Paul Soars, May of '76. This is just an article about Paul on the American tour and all he was doing at that time. Imagine, look at that, 33 years old, so young, just a kid. Yeah, that's it, folks. All right, that's my part 2, and maybe I'll show you the third one in a little bit. Take care. Please come back for part 3.